All righty. We are live. We'll give everybody a moment to join in. It's kind of an impromptu. This is an open panel. So if you guys would like to join, don't feel pressured. But if you'd like to, there's the link right there. Post it in the chat. So, very interesting video put out by Deb's True Crime Notebook titled Ricci Davis claims Keegan Klein and Ron Logan are involved. Very interesting. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if we play it. Hopefully, she might even call in. Good to see you, Frank. CJK, GP, Mustang, Miranda Lee. Don't worry. I'm married to my wife. We're not big on Valentine's Day, actually. But we do, we go big on our anniversary, and we also have yearly vacations we take. Don't worry about us. Every day is Valentine's Day with us. How do you think she got knocked up? We're very romantic. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes, and then I think I want to play Deb's video. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Deb's True Crime Notebook. She's absolutely killing it. If you're not already, let me post her link here. Bam, right there. Click that link. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Deb's True Crime Notebook. Now, remember, we talked about the recent information about Ricci Davis and him mentioning a box cutter. Remember, he's not there. He's like a third party. So they're telling him if he's a little snitch, people are going to tell him what they want him to go say. And I told you early on that Keegan Klein was locked up with him, but his account of Ron Logan's involvement was before that. So I find it very interesting. So Keegan Klein could be playing with him for sure. Stating that Ron Logan is involved, that Keegan Klein knows Ron Logan, but that Richard Allen was not involved. Like, yeah, come on. Bullshit. Bullshit. But I mean, it always made sense, right? We said if there was any information, what do you mean no sound? You might want to turn your volume up, CJK. Now, we talked about Ron Logan and his knowledge of the box cutter. Like, we can't say, oh my gosh, that's bombshell information when it comes to Richard Allen, and then ignore it like it's nothing when it's Ron Logan, right? We have to be ready for new information to persuade us in any direction. Now, one thing that we know about Ron Logan is that he cleaned up that day. Was he expecting company? Was he expecting company? Remember, Fig Solves posted the video of Ron Logan at the dump site. Why was he cleaning up? Was he expecting company? And why was he buying so much fish? He bought $100 of fish. Did somebody give him money? Did he facilitate a crime? We know he's not Bridge Guy. I know a lot of you out there want him to be Bridge Guy, but we're dealing in facts here. And if we deal in facts, we might be able to figure this shit out, guys. We actually might be able to figure this out. This might be motivated by money. How many times are we going to do live streams about the dark web, these cults online who target young children for CSAM, for snuff films, for live streaming, tragedies? Why is Ron Logan leaving at 2:09? We know he's gone. We know he's not the bridge guy. But that doesn't put him in free and clear. We know that he's cleaning up. Is he expecting guests? We know he's leaving at 2:09, shortly before the kidnapping. Right? So if money talks, guys, and you have somebody like Keegan Klein, and if he's anything like the Order of the Nine Angles 764 group or the Maniac Murder Cult, which I believe that he is, who's to say they didn't organize this? Maybe this is why they picked the Monon High Bridge, right? Facilitate this. I'm not involved, but I'll leave, I'll be gone while this is happening. Make sure you give me money. Richard Allen bought over $100 worth of fish and was gone a few moments before the kidnapping happened. Now, I'm not saying this Ricci Davis is being honest, because I don't believe a word he says, but we can't ignore the fact that he stated that box cutters were used. You can't pick and choose, guys. You can't cherry pick like defense attorneys. Like, oh, this is good, and I can use it at the right time, and then throw it away when I don't need it. But you have to ask yourself, what is Ron Logan cleaning up for that day? I don't know about you. I don't know if you've ever thrown a party or whatever or had guests. Usually you clean up. CJK says Ricci is a creep that failed his polygraph in epic fashion, so he's lying here. Well, this is different. You can fail a polygraph and you can pass a polygraph. The polygraph doesn't tell you whether you're lying or not. It just tells you whether you're perspiring from your hands or whether your breathing is changing. There's no such thing as a lie detector. There's just certain things that indicate whether or not you might be lying. And remember, it was Ricci Davis's idea to take the lie detector test. And he may not be lying. He may just be people might just be telling him what they want him to go and repeat. Like an instance, I just watched Deb's video, and Keegan Klein said, no. I'm just glad that Richard Allen is convicted. Now they won't come after me, and he wasn't involved. Those are the things that I don't believe. It kind of makes sense to me. You got Ron Logan prepping. What's he prepping for? He's prepping for something. We got him at the dump site cleaning up his yard as if he's expecting company. All of a sudden he has money just to blow on fish. Like, where'd you get the money from? Did somebody give you that money that day? You got Keegan Klein going to Las Vegas. You got Richard Allen on some kind of a burner phone that wasn't picked up on the geocache. Or sorry, the geofence. Sorry. At all. There's a product here. Why would they pick the Monon High Bridge if this is some kind of a conspiracy? Well, it would make sense if Ron Logan was involved. We're not saying he's the killer. We're not saying he's the bridge guy. He's simply possibly somebody that was there to facilitate the crime. So what say you, chat? He could have just thrown that out. What else did he mention? Knives, other sharp instruments, who knows? Yeah, but box cutters are very specific. Very specific. And I'm not going to pick and choose, guys. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh my god, this is mind-blowing" when Richard Allen says box cutter, but when Ricci Davis says it, oh man, it doesn't mean nothing. It's not how it works, guys. It's not how it works. We don't get to pick the truth. Typo says, "Wait, what?" Yeah, there is science and study. Yeah, I mean, there are. Um, people's bodies react certain ways when they're lying, but sometimes people's bodies react that way when they're not lying, when they're telling the truth. That's why they're not admissible. Typo. And some people just don't have a truth-telling style. Miranda says, "I feel like you want there to be a connection here." I feel like you don't want there to be a connection here. How about that? I just want you guys to focus in for a moment and follow the evidence. We know that Ron Logan left at 2:09. That's right before the abduction. Why? What is he cleaning up his property for that morning? Why does he have money all of a sudden to go blow on fish? Who gave him that money? Who needs that property that day? Typo says Keegan going to Las Vegas. It's absolutely weird. And all of the information surrounding that. I don't want there to be anything that there's not, Miranda. I'm not trying to make a connection where there's not. Just try to keep up with me here if you can. Karen says Richard Allen is a sick human being. Absolutely. That's why we did the live stream. No matter which way you slice it, Keegan or Richard Allen is the bridge guy. That's not Ron Logan on that bridge. That is Richard Allen, 100%. But why is he motivated? What is he motivated by? Why do we have Keegan Klein, who created the Anthony Shots account, communicating with Libby the night before and the day of? Why do we have Ron Logan cleaning up his property around noontime and then spending a shit ton of money at the fish store later on that day, creating his alibi? And how did Ron Logan, if Ricci Davis, either he's telling the truth or he's knows who killed the girls? He's giving us information that only the killer would know. And Ron Logan would know what happened if later on he was watching the video or he talked to the people who actually killed the girls. But I think there was a video created. And remember Garrett Kurtz talking about Ashley Garth saying that some folks had the actual video? If you translate that in criminal talk, that's I saw the video. You know, they everything is half truths. CJK, you got to think for yourself. CJK says, I don't believe in a connection. No evidence puts anybody there but Alan. What are you talking about? We know for a fact that Ron Logan left at 2:09 p.m. on the dot. That's minutes before the abduction. We know that Richard Allen came from Ron Logan's direction. I'm not saying that this is true. I'm not saying to believe it. I'm saying to consider it. You guys talk about evidence and all of that, but you ignore it. You know, you ignore it when you want to. Yep, absolutely, Miranda. But that's all we know right now. You're done. You're satisfied with that? Like, oh, we got Ron Logan, or excuse me, we got Richard Allen. I don't know if I'm satisfied with that. What's up, Anthony France? And he packed an extra bag. He said, I'm fucked. And everything that Anthony Schatz and Libby German were talking about that night, late that night, and early into that morning and up until the murders, nobody knows what was said because it was on Snapchat. Dakota, does Ron Logan have to use a private drive too? No, he uses 300. His home is right there on the main road. That's what I think, Stephanie. I think that's the product. I think that might have been Richard Allen's, that might have been his job. Get the girls across the creek over to the Kleins and also to document it. Document the girls running across that creek. Typo says Richard Allen can still be bridge guy and thus still lines up with Doug Carter. Exactly. The tentacles that I'm referring to is all of the rest. What is the motivation for this crime? There's money here. There is money to be made, or there's belief that there's money to be made. I think that's what attracted Richard Allen. That and his sadistic side. Allen is the BG and the killer convicted. This is all a ploy for some deal by Ricci. Hey, if you're satisfied, that's good, CJK. I respect that. And how do we know Logan cleaned up his property that day? Obviously, you haven't seen Fig Solve's video of him actually taking out the bags of trash at 11. See, apparently there's a lot that you don't know. Miranda says, I'm glad Keegan is locked up and his Jabba the Hutt's ass will most likely die in prison. That's not the question here, though. What's his role in the Delphi case? Stephanie says that's Richard Allen clear as day in that picture. Absolutely. Absolutely. But remember, he left Peru in the morning, went home briefly, and then went to the trails. Laid in wait. Who's he waiting for? It's because, hey, I can't put it in your brain, CJK. Anthony France says he went there for a reason. He knew they would be showing up. Could be wrong. My question is, if you have multiple people involved, you have online stalking, how many live streams do we have to do on online sextortion cults before we can understand that these things happen? That it's not just about some creepy old man sneaking onto the bridge and saying, oh my God, look at these girls. I'm going to go after them. There's something else here. There's more to this. There's a reason that we're all here right now talking about this. And it's not because Richard Allen did this alone. I don't believe that. Mustang says Richard Allen is BG. I don't know why you guys keep saying that. Nobody's arguing that. I feel like I'm not explaining myself correctly. I feel like you guys are missing me here. Absolutely, Anthony. Absolutely. The motivation is still absolutely unknown. And that's my point. Okay, so we're going to ignore the facts and then we're going to go off on a tangent about stuff that's unverified. That's a given. Yeah, 100%. He's both going out there hoping a girl crosses the bridge. Shake my head. No way. Absolutely not. I'm going to leave Peru, the same place where Keegan Klein is, and I'm going to rush to my house and I'm going to change. Why am I changing? And I'm going to go directly to the bridge. I'm going to pass a group of young girls and I'm going to lay in wait. And I'm going to get there at the same time that the girls stated that they're going to be leaving. I'm not telling you guys to believe what I believe. I'm just asking you to consider it. Um, what all could have tossed out that would have been related to the crime scene in a couple of trash bags? Well, this would have been way before the crime even happened, CJK. If Ron Logan is just there to facilitate the crime, yeah, you can use my property. You're going to give me money to use my property? Okay. All I got to do is be gone? Sure. Then he feels the need to clean up, cleans up around his property. He's expecting guests. 12 around 11:30, he's throwing away bags at the dumps, at the dump. Right around the time that Keegan Klein states 12 o'clock to 3, right? I was with my grandparents. Richard Allen says, "Oh, yeah, I went to the trails at 1 and left at or went to the trails at 12 and left at 1:30." CJK, if there was proof, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. You know what I mean? Like, step out of your box for like 2 seconds. Dakota says, Sleuth, I agree, but the Kleins and the Anthony Shots account. But if police can't find the info, then we'll never know for sure either way. They'll always be suspicious. I don't look at things that way. I feel like if you're an online sleuth, you need to do what you do. You don't just say, oh, there's nothing we can do. They didn't find anything, so that's it. No, that's not how I work. That's not how I operate. Alicia, yeah, I agree. I don't know if they're even listening. They've already made up their minds. It's over for them. They don't need the answers. I do. Me personally, I need the answers and I know that there's more. I could care less what law enforcement knows, Miranda. At this point, we know what law enforcement knows for the most part, and they don't know shit. That's the biggest problem with the online sleuths right now is that they pay too much attention to what law enforcement is saying. What do you mean typo? Hey, what's up, Richard? It's possible, but Alicia, no. Stop talking about Kelsey. Don't talk about Kelsey on my channel. Yeah. Hey, there's the link right there if anybody wants to call in. The link is posted. What's up, Juliet? Before they said they had no evidence on the Kleins at the 3-day hearings, I always thought this was a peddle ring and Richard Allen was paid to. Yeah, what else is motivating this guy? Looks like we have a caller. Is that you, Anthony?
Yeah, it's me.
Hey, what's up? Welcome on. We have Anthony France joining us. What's on your mind?
Oh, not much, man. Just kind of listening about the Ron Logan thing.
Do you want to watch this video real quick?
Yeah, go with it.
All right, hold on. Let's play Deb's video. You guys can get on the same page as me. And I'm not saying this is 100% accurate, you guys. I'm just saying it could be finally all coming together. All right, let's move that out of the way.
Over time, Klein began questioning Ricci Davis as to Ricci Davis's conversation with Ron Logan and whether Logan had ever mentioned his, Keegan Klein's, name to Ricci Davis during those conversations. Defendant's verified motion to preserve and produce specific evidence. Richard Allen, by counsel, now comes before the court with this verified motion and proves this court to order the state of Indiana to preserve certain specific evidence and to produce that evidence to the
Hold on. Alicia, this is your last warning. You say Kelsey's name one more time, you're out of here.
defense. In support of the motion, Richard Allen states the following. 1. On February 12, 2025, Richard Allen's counsel, Andrew Baldwin, met with inmate Ricci Davis at the Newcastle Correctional Facility. 2. During their meeting, Mr. Davis informed Attorney Baldwin of the following. A. He, Ricci Davis, was in the unique position of having met both Keegan Klein and Ron Logan during their stays at Newcastle Correctional Facility. B. He, Ricci Davis, talked with Ron Logan about the Delphi murders on multiple occasions. Over the course of time, Logan confessed to his involvement in the murders along with 2 other people. C. During those conversations, Logan provided certain details of the crime that only the actual killer would know, but never divulged who the other 2 people involved in the murders were. D. In or around March 2024, Keegan Klein was placed in the same general area as Ricci Davis and, at some point, apparently learned that Ricci Davis had talked to Ron Logan while Logan was incarcerated in Newcastle.
Feel confident.
E. Over time, Klein began questioning Ricci Davis as to Ricci Davis's conversation with Ron Logan and whether Logan had ever mentioned his, Keegan Klein's, name to Ricci Davis during those conversations. F. Ricci Davis began to realize that Klein may have been one of the other members of the crew that Logan described as being involved in the murders. G. Over time, Keegan Klein began to reveal information about the Delphi murders that corroborated details Ron Logan had revealed to Ricci Davis several years earlier.
Now, remember, guys, it's not about what Ricci Davis is saying. It's about what Keegan Klein is saying to Ricci Davis, right?
H. Some of the details Keegan Klein provided to Ricci Davis are the types of details that could only be known by someone involved in the killings. I. These conversations between Ricci Davis and Keegan Klein occurred all the way up to the guilty verdict, at which time Klein expressed his relief that he, Klein, would no longer be a viable suspect in the murders due to Richard Allen's conviction.
Yes, Gambies.
J. Not knowing whether Richard Allen could be the third person involved in the murders, Ricci Davis asked Keegan Klein whether Mr. Allen was the third person involved in the murders. Klein replied that Richard Allen was not the third person and had nothing to do with the murders. K. Keegan Klein further revealed to Ricci Davis that he, Klein, and Logan knew each other through the sharing of child pornography that they shared on burner phones, and that they further, Klein and Logan, would see each other every 3 to 6 months so that Klein could assist Logan with using the burner phones because Logan was inept working with electronic devices. L. Ricci Davis further explained that once Keegan Klein began revealing his role in the murders, sometime in the summer of fall of 2024, before Mr. Allen's October trial, he, Ricci Davis, began sending letters to Nick McClellan, providing many of the details of his, Ricci Davis's conversation with Keegan Klein in 2024 and Ron Logan in 2017. M. Ricci Davis indicated that he believes he sent as many as 8 letters to McClellan's office hereafter the Davis letters, and presumed that McClellan was sharing the contents of those letters with Richard Allen's defense team. N. Attorney Baldwin met with Ricci Davis on March 27, 2024, and learned very limited information from Ricci Davis, who encouraged Baldwin to watch a videotaped interview law enforcement conducted years earlier.
See, I mean, that's the most important part of that video right there. What do you think about that, Anthony?
Man, this keeps getting stranger and stranger.
What does your gut tell you? Deep down.
My gut tells me that he went there with a purpose, man. For some reason, I don't know, man. I'm kind of leaning more to the, like, maybe trying to silence him. I don't know. I go back and forth on that. I just don't think he showed up to just like assault a girl or.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? That he left Peru, went home quickly, and went to the trails just to hopefully find a victim.
Exactly.
I mean,
And the whole 3 beers thing. If he's an alcoholic, he ain't just drinking 3 beers.
no, he's
And
drinking
going out to the
3
trails.
bottles.
Yeah.
3 bottles of Jack Daniels, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if he's a beer drinker, he's not just going to drink 3 beers and then go out to the trails and not drink anymore. No, that's no way. So maybe, I know his chest always looked like it was bundled up. Everybody said, oh, he had a kill kit in there. Maybe he had like his 6-pack in there. Hell, who knows?
Yeah, maybe he was getting fucked up out there, getting that liquid courage. Even Becky Patty used that term. And that was the first time I heard it. That liquid courage. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, Sleuth, come on, man. You're not going to just go home and drink 3 beers and then go out. I'm just telling you, for somebody that drinks, you're not going to do that. You're not. You're going to take some liquor with you if you are going to go out there and do that. And you're not just going to have 3 beers and go out there and just sexually assault someone.
And what
I
about
just
them?
don't think that was his motivation. I'm never going to believe that.
What about him going in front of the Hoosier Harvest Store video, coming from east to west, coming from Ron Logan's property, and then going to the CPS building? Like, why is he even coming from that direction? And Keegan Klein had confessed and said that they were at the cemetery. You know, that's what direction he would have been coming from. And if you're trying to avoid the police and you're drinking beer, let's say he left Peru, grabbed that beer, and so that he can get liquid courage, he's going to take the back roads, right?
Yeah, more than likely.
I know I would.
He's gonna try to avoid, you know,
Law
the least
enforcement.
resistance.
But that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So do you think that I don't know if you can if anybody's ever seen like the video footage of his car or whatever. I don't know if that's available. But if he had black rims on that Ford Focus, and then that picture of the Walgreens, man, that's pretty damning.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think he just went out there just to assault someone. No way.
What do you
I
think
don't
about
believe that.
him being out in Peru that morning, and then finding out that Keegan Klein, he's from Peru. He's the creator of Anthony Shots. Anthony Shots is talking with Abby and Libby the night before, the morning of. And here comes Richard Allen. I can't go to lunch with you, Mom. I can't go to lunch with you, sister. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go pick up beer, and I'm going to go home real quick, change my clothes. What is the reason for all that? And then I'm going to go to the trails and commit a murder?
Exactly.
It shit don't make no sense, man. At
No,
all.
it don't. Yeah, you and me on the KK thing.
Yeah, I can't accept it. I'm not one of those
I
people that's just
can't
going to be like,
either.
"Oh, they convicted Richard Allen. That's it. You know, finally got justice." But there's still no answers. And even if
No.
law enforcement is the one that came out publicly and said, "We don't have all the answers. All we
He
know
was
is that
talking to
Richard
him.
Allen is the bridge guy."
I mean, KK was talking to him the night before.
And the
I
morning
mean,
of.
catfishing him.
Yes.
And some random guy from Delphi, where there's only like what 4,000 people, he just shows up at the trails.
Well, coming
The
from
same.
Peru. He's not just
Yes,
he's not just waking up in Delphi. He's actually leaving Peru.
exactly where KK's at.
Yes, that's my point.
That's what I'm saying. It's like people don't understand. It's like
Open your
if you just
eyes.
use a little bit of common sense. I mean, and I know there's always like all these coincidences that happen, but man, Jesus, there are
And he
so many
confessed.
coincidences.
And he confessed.
Yeah, I mean,
Both of them
man, it's like
confessed. Keegan Klein confessed and Richard Allen both confessed.
seeing the whole red Jeep thing is just so weird to me. It's like, why would you lie about that? But I think he did. But why?
Half truths. You know, there's some truth in there somewhere. There's some truth in there. Remember,
And
killers are all
why is
well,
he always dragging his dad into this? Who that his dad was the only one that was supporting him.
I think he felt backstabbed by his dad.
But even before his dad like stopped coming to see him or whatever, that's when he threw him under the bus. He didn't throw him under the bus when he was giving him money when he was locked up, and it's just so weird, man.
Yep.
Then his dad leaves the state. I get it, man. You know, he's probably under a lot of scrutiny, but it's just weird, man. And I know
That's
some
very
cop
weird.
lives in Vegas.
Yeah, what's that all about? Jan Kendall.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's so much shit, man. It's like they go to Vegas and then they come back, their home gets raided.
Oh,
I
but
mean,
Richard Allen did it and we don't know why. I'm happy with that. I'm
yeah,
not, man. I'm not happy with that at all. I'm not happy with people getting away with murder. I'm not.
I think Richard Allen's definitely guilty. But I think
Absolutely. He's the
there's
bridge guy,
definitely
100%.
there's definitely some more like Doug Carter said, I don't want to say tentacles, but there's
That's the
definitely
word. I
something
mean,
else.
yeah, tentacles is, I mean, that's the word.
There's something out there that's not being brought to light.
It's because they
And I
can't
just
prove
don't
it.
know what the fuck that is, man.
Well, they said that they when I was watching Tom Webster the other day, he was sitting in court. He took great notes. He stated that they didn't track Richard Allen's phone anywhere near that trail. And we know that Richard Allen 100% was on his fucking phone. So if they can't track his phone there, what the hell was he on? What's he doing on that phone?
Do you think he had a burner phone?
Yes, I do.
Dude, he worked at Walgreens. I mean, you can get him a dime a dozen. Correct?
Yeah. I don't think he got it from there. You can get those anywhere. One of his old phones, for all we know. Something that just wasn't connected to the internet. It wasn't set up. It wasn't an active phone.
I think he's smart enough to know to not take his own phone out there. I would think that you would, even in 2017, I would think you would be smart enough to know that. If you're gonna, if your mission is to go out there and commit some crime, I would think that you would not take your own phone out there.
And he didn't. And he did not. I
That's
mean, they
what I'm saying.
planned this. And I think it's, if I knew the person whose property that was, I think I would be more comfortable committing the crime, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If you sat down and said, hey, look, man, we're about to make 50 grand off of this video that we make. I'll give you $5,000 and all you got to do is leave. That's it. All you got to do is leave. And I'm talking about Ron Logan. Like, that's all you got to do, Ron Logan. All you got to do is leave. We're going to go and we're going to do our thing. And then for him to mention the box cutter, like, to me, that's intimate knowledge. Typo here. Hold on. We got a super chat. Thank you, Typo. Al Capone was taken down for check fraud, not his most infamous crimes. Law enforcement didn't need to prove everything enough to get a killer off the streets. Same applies to Richard Allen. Maybe even Keegan Klein, right, Typo? They're like, this is the best we can get. Yeah, maybe
man,
you're right.
I think he did it though, man. All them confessions and whatnot. I'm not gonna sit here and try to play on the fence on this, Richard Allen's innocent and all that. No. I'm just saying, I think there might be somebody else that, man, he had to have had some knowledge that those girls were going to be. Sleuth, I can't get past that, man.
Either can I, dude. I can't get past the fact.
Can't.
And Vito came out and told the murder sheet that 100% Keegan Klein, well, not Keegan Klein, we don't know who was operating it, but Anthony Schatz on Snapchat late into the night was talking with Abby and Libby that night. And then even right up until the time that they were murdered. And they don't know what was said. They can't recover that information. And nobody cares about any of that. They're just, Richard Allen did it. It's over. We found, nobody cares. And if you don't care, this could happen again.
Yeah, who were them girls talking to the night before?
Yes.
I mean, I know they were talking to Anthony Schatz and whatever, but who the hell were they talking to?
Yeah, who was it?
Who was behind that account? That's what matters. I mean,
matters. And they'll never know. Snapchat is a self-destruct, and they called it the Snapchat murder for a reason. And that could be how they knew exactly where Abby and Libby were going to be at that time.
No doubt about it.
And if they knew that Ron Logan wasn't at home, they knew that they were free and clear to spend that hour and 45 minutes doing what they wanted to do. And I think that was creating this product that they were taking to Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds crazy. It sounds extreme.
This was a sexually motivated crime. I mean, he kind of admitted that it was.
I think they're all sexual freaks, man. I think they could all be disgusting and they could all be involved in this. And that's why they all agreed to do it.
Who's all?
All parties involved. I don't think Richard Allen acted alone. I don't see him leaving saying, "No, I can't go to lunch with you guys. I'm going to go blow off some steam and just go for a quick hike."
Yeah,
I don't
see, he
believe that.
already knew what he was going to do that day.
Yes, he already
He already
knew.
knew.
He
He
already knew what part he was about to play.
Yes, I had to go there. I had to be there at a certain time, and there's no way in hell I can go to lunch with you, Mom. Sorry.
They talked him
Peace out.
into it. Like, look, man, you have a wedding coming up. You have your brother-in-law's funeral that you just paid for. Man, we're going to give you all kinds of money. If anything, they need to check his bank records. They need to look at the financial part of it all. I mean, why did they go to Vegas, come back and get raided right away? And Keegan Klein say, "Oh, I knew I was fucked. That's why I packed an extra bag."
Exactly.
Does this not mean anything to anybody? Am I crazy here, Anthony? I just don't get it.
No, man.
I feel like I'm all alone.
Page.
Yeah, I feel like we're alone here, man.
I've been saying the same thing. I always that damn saying a hymn. Oh, I packed an extra bag. What the fuck was you packing an extra bag? He's on vacation.
Yeah, you were gonna sneak out. What are you sneaking out for? What are you in
Who the
Vegas?
hell are you running from, dude?
What are you in Vegas looking up the Delphi case, listening to the voice over and over and over again?
Yeah,
Why are you looking up the Sandy Hook victims? It's because you're on the fucking dark web.
Didn't he go and fucking search the OJ case too?
Yes, and he met with somebody through Craigslist. He said, "Oh, it was for drugs." It wasn't.
Yeah, he said that's
bullshit.
why he was out there.
Nah.
Who the fuck was on Craigslist selling fucking weed?
Nobody. And the fact that you brought up Jan Kendall, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Very important. Very important.
I don't think there's no way in hell he was out there selling weed.
Yeah, if you want to get arrested, go on Craigslist and sell some weed.
Yeah.
You think he's that stupid? I don't. He's a stupid fat piece of shit, but he ain't that stupid.
No, he's done masterminded all this CSAM shit. And another thing, man, and I brought this up before. You let this guy run around for like 2 or 3 years.
I blame the FBI for that, honestly.
But you let him run around. I mean, how many little kids got? I mean, it's just sickening to me that you would let some pedophile that is doing all this nasty shit. Oh, we're gonna let him run around and see who else he can bring in. No, you don't do that, man. You just arrest the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I don't trust the FBI. They were tasked with following him to Vegas. That's the reason that I think that ISP wasn't worried about him. They're like, "Oh, well, we trust the FBI. They're our partners. If we have any issues that we need somebody to cross state lines, we depend on the FBI for that." But they were like, "Oh, no, we weren't following him at all. We just let him go." Oh, okay. So you let him go. Well, guess what? You're fucking off the case. Remember, they were thrown off the case a year, the anniversary of Keegan Klein's arrest to the date, 1 year to the date, the FBI was kicked off the case.
That's definitely interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Definitely interesting. What do you think about the whole thing about him? I don't mean to bring up his family or whatever, but what do you think about his daughter? I just want your opinion. If you don't want to answer, that's fine.
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean specifically?
Like, why she's not never came to the forefront and say, "Hey,
well, she went to trial. She went to trial and she said, "Hey, my dad never molested me."
Yeah.
which was huge.
And
She was the only
who
she
wasn't
was the
in the
only one that
courtroom
did
when
that.
she did that?
Yeah,
Who was
that's
the only
huge.
person?
She was the
Who
only
didn't
one that
go
did
there?
that. Her and one of Richard Allen's sisters said,
Who
"Hey,
didn't? Who wasn't in the courtroom?
his mother, the person that he met with that morning, the person who could have said, "Hey, Richard Allen looked fine. He left he left around 11:30, meaning he would have, he would have been at the trails. He told me he was going to go for a quick hike, and he would have been there by 12 and gone by 1:30." But she never testified in court. Why? Because they're not going to lie for him. They know that he was fucking acting weird that day. They know that he was fucking weird. And they know if they say that, it will make him look guilty. So the only reason for them not taking the stand is because it wasn't helpful or beneficial to Richard Allen.
Yeah, I agree. They probably would have pounded all them people on prosecution.
Absolutely.
I don't
I
know,
mean,
man. This case is just so weird. It's like, as soon as you think you got it figured out, it's like, nah, you don't.
well, it's because we depend too much on media. We depend too much on what the family's saying, and we spend way too much. We give way too much to what the investigative team is saying because they don't. I'm telling you right now, man, they might not know shit either. That and as fucked up as that is, it could be true. They wish they knew. They spent millions of dollars trying to find out. That doesn't mean they were able to.
Yeah, they spent millions of dollars on that Wabash search.
Over $1 million.
And then they arrested Richard Allen.
Shortly after. Yeah. And then we got the lost tip,
So Keegan Klein lies about all this shit in Wabash. I'm just trying to get this figured out.
Yeah, let's
He
work
lies
through it.
about he lies about all this stuff, and then all of a sudden they go search the Wabash, don't find anything, spend over $1 million. What was they out there for, like 3 or 4 weeks?
5 weeks.
And didn't find anything. And all of a sudden
3 weeks later,
Richard Allen right after that.
Well, 3 weeks later, they first interviewed Richard Allen, and they told him that he was a suspect because they found a lost tip, and then they served a search warrant on him, and then arrested him. I mean, come on.
See, man, like, I get why all these defense people out there, doing what they're doing.
Because there's something there. There's something there, and they know it.
Yeah, there's a lot of shady stuff going on.
There is. But I think the shady part of it all is the lost tip. And they did what they had to do because they knew for a fact that Richard Allen was the guy. And that's why I don't want to press it too much because it probably was something illegal, but they knew that they had to get him. That in order to salvage this case, they got to get Richard Allen because they know 100% that he's involved. But they knew that they were trying to get this whole group.
Yeah, I agree.
But when you have the FBI putting their thumb on the scale like they did, in which I think they did, there's not much you can do, as an investigator in Indiana when you're up against the FBI.
Yeah. I agree with you, man. I'm just saying, I just think that something's going on with KK. I just think there's some involvement.
Well, he is the guy. Why would he admit to all of this after his conviction? They can't give him a deal on any of that. He's not going to lose any of that time. You can't negotiate with other people's justice. They're not going to give him a deal on the CSAM and what he did to those girls. So why would he come forward and confess? It's because he's hoping for immunity on that. That way he doesn't do life or potentially get the death penalty. Why is he going to come forward and tell Nick McClellan and the investigators that, yeah, me and my dad were at the cemetery. We went to Delphi that day, and my father came out of the woods from the crime scene, muddy and bloody, saying that we had a good time. Why the fuck would he say that?
Exactly.
Oh, because he wanted a field trip? No, man. No.
I think people need to pay a little more attention to Keegan Klein and Ron Logan.
Yeah, because he's telling people what they want, parts. He's not telling the whole story. He's trying to manipulate it. Psychopaths, they play this game. It's a cat and mouse game, and that's what he's doing.
Man, I don't know what kind of relationship you have with your dad.
I have a great relationship with my dad. I worship my dad.
I'm going with the story here, and I have a pretty good relationship with my dad too. What I'm saying is that I just don't understand how you can throw your dad under the bus, no matter what's going on, legally, whatnot. If someone's took care of you your whole life,
I
sounds
don't
like
think he liked his dad that much. If you look and you really study Keegan Klein, which I did for a long time, there was a moment in time where he wasn't even spending time with his dad. He was over there with his mom and his stepfather working on the ranch. Like he looked up, he had a stable life for a moment. Like he was working hard and he was on a ranch and he was getting disciplined, and his stepfather was a really good influence on him. So he has the contrast. He knows what a good.
He ended up back with TK.
I'm not sure,
dad.
but he knows what a good influence looks like, and then he knows what a shitty influence looks like. And even to this day, Tony Klein is online right now, and all he's doing is plotting and scheming on prostitutes. That's all he's doing over there in Treasure Island in Florida. That's all he does is look at naked women and get hookers. That's it. That's all he's doing right now. He's retired, living off disability and his pension from Chrysler, and all he does is get prostitutes. That's it. That's not a role model. That's not somebody to look for. I don't think it would take much for Keegan Klein to roll over on him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it's not true, why would you just make it up?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you really loved your dad and you was like, man, blood's thicker than water, you wouldn't just, even if your dad was involved, you wouldn't throw him under the bus.
Here's a good comment from Gambies, and I agree with this. Gamby says, I want to know what conversations happened at Mom's house that day. And you would think, why wouldn't if the defense was so adamant about Richard Allen's innocence, they would have made sure that the jury knew exactly those conversations.
I want to know what the conversations were after 4:30 that day. What he did for the rest of the night. No one ever wants to talk about that.
His wife got home at 5. She gets off at 5, and she got home at 5:30 and said he was home and he was asleep on the couch.
Sleep on the couch. Bullshit.
That's bullshit. I agree with that. I think it's true. I think he was asleep. But that's because
he just went out and killed 2 girls and one went to sleep.
Yeah, because I think he was I think he was fucked up on something. I think he was coming down on that. And
if there's other drugs involved, yeah.
I think other drugs were involved. I think maybe even some PCP or something crazy. I think he was coming down off of whatever it was. And when you're a psychopath, those are things that you can do. I think that's what drew all these folks together. It's not a care in the world for other humans.
Man,
What's up, Jeff?
know. Seems like this crime was too articulated for him to be all fucked up on PCP and all that. I'm just saying.
Well, I think they planned it well. and I think that they had been getting high before this, after this. And I think that they had such a good plan that they knew that they could do it, but they needed that extra something to cut the edge. You know what I mean?
Who's they?
Honestly, if I had to guess, I would say the Kleins, Richard Allen, and then I think there was a group of people that helped them. Maybe Dirk. I think him or JP were the ones that were using Keegan Klein's phones and Tony Klein's phones to create their alibi. And I think they were able to view the videos. I think they saw the videos. I think they saw the videos of the murders. They saw the footage. I think that Ron Logan maybe even had his own copy or was able to see it. And that's how he knew about the box cutters and why he might have been masturbating or whatever to it, because he knew that he was part of that. He was part of that control. Potentially, you know, this is just a hypothetical. But money was the motivator. Nobody's going to do any of this unless there's money motivating, and you're not a psychopath. There's no way you're going to agree to this unless you're fucked up in the head.
Do you still have an interview?
Go ahead.
Do you still have an interview with JP?
Do I still have those interviews? Yeah, I do.
I think you need to show them.
I mean, Tony Leggett has them. I told you he called me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the day after I posted that YouTube video, I got a call from Tony Leggett. He said, send that to me. So if Keegan Klein's admitting and confessing that him and his father are at the cemetery and he's waiting in that Jeep, who the hell is on his phone creating the alibi for him? Somebody's on his phone. Somebody's using porn. Somebody's walking around his Canal Street address. I think that was either Dirk or Julian.
I always wondered why he was speeding past those 3 girls on the trail.
With the mad look, you know, upset. He was upset, remember? He looked like he was moving with purpose. What's his purpose? You know, I thought he didn't have any plans. I thought he was just blowing off steam. And why does he have his face covered? I mean, are we going to actually talk about this? You know what I mean? Like, are we going to really talk about this? Are we just going to accept that Richard Allen is the guy and then that's it? Hands clean. Are we not going to attempt to understand this or try to figure this out? I mean, how many live streams do I have to do on sextortion and online murder cults and Darren Schillmiller and all of this fucking crazy shit before people can realize that these things really happen? It's not always just some fucked up guy, some sadistic pedophile who's just looking to sexually assault 2 women. That's not always the case. And if that was the case, don't you think he would just kidnap somebody?
Why didn't he go after the girls that he saw when he was walking on the trail?
He could have went ballistic right there.
Yeah. Why'd you go that if that was your intention, you had multiple girls there. Why didn't you do that?
Well, I mean, the answer is easy.
Too much.
If he was acting alone, that's not a high risk area. I mean, to me, that's an easy answer. They're right there. They're by the Freedom Bridge. It's a high populated area. It's not a high risk area for those girls.
Okay, so you're just going to go to the bridge and you're just going to assume, and you're going to assume that 2 more girls are going to come down the path.
Excuse me.
Man,
Well, part of his confession, he stated that he was laying in wait.
Here's what people get mistaken, I think, about this trail and this bridge. It's not a highly populated area where it's like everyone goes all the time and there's all these people, you know. How the hell did he know they were going to be there, man? You pass all these girls, you go to the trail.
Because he convinced them to be there. Not only did he convince them to be there, they convinced them to cross the south side of the bridge. Because once you're on that south side of the bridge, once you're down there by the creek, there's a sand bridge there. And you can cross right there with zero resistance.
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, once you cross that creek, nobody will know where you went. The witnesses, anybody that came forward would say, well, I saw the girls on the bridge. They went across the south side. Nobody would ever suspect that they crossed the creek. They'd be like, okay, the girls are lost. We're looking over here on the south side. Not one person would be like, oh, well, they crossed this cold-ass creek and they went back over to the north side on Ron Logan's property. Nobody would ever suspect that. That's why they did it.
Yeah.
It was part of the plan. It was all part of the plan. And if you're familiar with that, who was familiar with that? If you believe what Bart said to the murder sheet, he was the stepson at one point of TK, right? He said that TK brought him to that bridge. They went below the bridge, down there near the crime scene, and they went fishing. Okay, who else knew about that area? Richard Allen. Why? Because he frequented the bridge. Who else knew about that area? Motherfucker that lived there.
Yeah.
And who was the creepy guy that was at the private drive at 9 a.m.? Maybe it was JP. He was the one that told me. We proved that he was there on the 12th.
People forget about that, man.
Can't.
She had her damn husband come out there because she was so fucking scared. Why does nobody ever talk about that?
Wait, say that again?
The dude that was running around at like 9 or 10 in the morning, she had to go get her husband because she was so scared to run the guy off. Who the hell was that dude?
Yeah, they testified in court that there was a man walking around at 9 a.m. Okay, well, we know that in Peru at the Canal Street address, Keegan Klein was logging in 2 burner phones into the Anthony Shots account that were not his personal devices. 1 hour later, you have a strange man walking around the private drive. I mean, do I have to fucking spell it out?
Yeah. Who was that dude?
Yeah, probably the same guy that came back and was there to create the alibis for both of them. Oh, well, we can't arrest the Kleins because we have cell phone data that shows that they were at home and on their devices. Well, devices aren't attached to your flesh, are they?
I remember I heard people say, that was Anthony Greeno out there that morning.
That's fucking stupid.
That's just how stupid this case is, man.
Well, if we can focus on these facts and all this information, I think we can figure this shit out. Honestly, I think that we can. It's all really starting to make sense.
Man. I go on channels, like, not channels, but when I'm like scrolling, I see all these new channels defending Richard Allen. I'm like, what?
Well, it's because they know in their gut that there's something else going on, but they're lazy. They're just willing to settle. They're willing to say, okay, I'm going to take what the defense is telling me. They're not willing to do their own thinking. Nobody's thinking for themselves. And nobody told us the story. Nobody knows why Richard Allen was out there. We're all guessing. Oh, he was just there for, sexual assault. Okay. We don't know that.
The sad part about this whole case is that he wanted to confess to his mom, his wife.
Oh, man, they
his
blew it.
lawyers.
They
They wouldn't
fucking
let
blew
him
it.
do it. They just
Kathy and
wouldn't
his mom, they could have been
do it.
heroes. They could have been
They
heroes right
did
there.
not want him to do it, man.
It's because they
I
already
don't
know, I
understand
think.
that.
I think there's a big chance, Anthony, that they already know what the fuck is going on and they're doing their best to protect him because he may not have played the largest role in all of this. You know what I mean? He may have been driven by money, and his task was just to get them off of that bridge and across that creek. That's it.
You don't really believe that, do you, Sleuth?
I think it's possible. I think it's possible that that was it. His job may have just been to hold that camera while the girls were being murdered. I think money,
Yeah.
when money motivates, when somebody's
I
telling
can't
you,
agree with you on that. I just can't, dude.
I think if
It's
somebody was
okay.
offering them $50,000 for a murder film, they need somebody to hold that camera. They need to plan it out. They need somewhere to do it. They need somebody to facilitate it. They need somebody to film it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Which
I'm
part,
not
bad
sure.
actors? I feel like people are afraid to open their mind to it. You know what I mean? They would prefer it to be over.
Man, I get crucified if I go on another channel and say anything.
Yeah, they just
about
want it
this
to be over.
murder.
But if it's over and we don't know why it happened and what the motivation was, it could happen again.
I just can't believe all the supporters in Richard Allen's innocence.
Well, I think they
Is it-
just feel like in their gut there's something that they just don't quite understand yet. You know, people are trying to understand what their gut is telling them. I just don't think that their intuition is fine-tuned as others. So they're just
I don't
missing
think they
it.
know all the facts. I don't think they know all the facts, man. I think they just hop on a channel and they see what they say and they believe it. My cousin, she didn't know nothing about this case, and she's like, he's innocent. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I started sending her all this stuff, and she's like, oh, wow. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he's not fucking innocent.
He's not. And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
I
people
did a
just
live
want to.
stream. It was titled "Any Way You Slice It." Richard Allen is the bridge guy, and that's why Nick McClellan took that approach. He said, the approach I'm taking is just to prove that Richard Allen is the bridge guy. I don't need to talk about anything else because if he's the bridge guy, he kidnapped those girls and they died after that, meaning that he is a murderer, which is true.
In the state of Indiana,
And
you
that's
kidnapped
true.
two. Yeah,
Mhm.
you kidnapped two girls. You don't have to do anything to them after that. If they die, you're a murderer.
But that
So
doesn't take away from the fact that Nick had Keegan Klein in a room, taking him to Grissom Air Base into the cemetery and spending millions of dollars on the Wabash River search and going and recovering Tony Klein's red Jeep and searching it and having the CSI team search it for DNA. You know, they were doing their best to make that connection because they believe it too. I'm not the only one.
Sleuth, you're not going to spend $1 million fucking dollars on something that you don't believe. Period.
Exactly.
I know everybody says, "Oh, he's a liar." Blah
He
blah
is.
blah. Bullshit.
But
He
his
is a
name,
liar.
is
He's a
Keegan
liar.
Klein, right? How many times have he said my name is Keegan Klein? Is he lying? No, that's his fucking name. He's not going to lie about everything.
All I'm saying is that they saw some truth in what he was saying. They're not going to spend all that money going out there searching all that stuff for no reason. There's no way, man.
No,
No
there's no way.
way. And then they go out and they pick up the red Jeep.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did. They took it from the owner. They had a search warrant.
Yeah, they took it from somebody that bought it from TK.
Imagine somebody police knocking on your door and taking your new car.
Hey, we're taking your ride.
Like, what? You're taking my car? Why? Because it may have been involved in a murder. Oh, that's because we don't really believe Keegan Klein. Like, come on, man. Like, take your head out of your ass.
Yeah, man. Dude, I'm so with you on the. I definitely think there's so much more involved in this.
Yeah, me too.
I've never thought from day one this guy went out there, had a bad day with his mom and his wife, went and got a 6-pack, drank 3 beers, went out there and killed some 2 girls for whatever reason, sexual motivation or whatnot. No, I'm not buying that. Not
Nope.
on some truck. This is not even. You don't even know if 2 girls are even going to show up. I mean, you might sit out there for 4 days to see 2 girls cross the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's a good question from Lynn. Ask yourself why they didn't use this as his defense. Well, why are you going to use a defense that might lead back to your client? Not to mention the fact that Aki is partners with Rosie, and Aki was the defense attorney for not only Logan but Kagan. So if Rosie wants to defend Richard Allen, he can't bring up Keegan Klein or Ron Logan. That's a conflict of interest. So if he plans to bring that up to help Richard Allen, he's got to step off the case. He ain't doing that. No way in hell. It's too good for his company and his business.
Yeah, big money grab there.
Big money. Big money.
But yeah, that whole thing with them going and getting that damn red Jeep, that was when I was like, oh, there's something more in here. They're not going to go track some vehicle down.
Yeah, why do you think they chose Odinism instead of Ron Logan and Keegan Klein? Because Ron Logan and Keegan Klein is going to lead right back to their client, Richard Allen. They're not going that route.
So, Luke, do you think Ron Logan's involved somehow?
I don't know. I think that it is very possible. If you and I'm not just throwing that out there. I'm not throwing hypotheticals. I'm just saying if you look at the evidence, why would they plan it there? Why would they plan it on that property? Why was Ron Logan cleaning up his property that morning? Why was Ron Logan gone at 2:09, just a few minutes before the kidnapping? It's like, hey, if you give me the money, I will give you my property.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not
So you think
involved.
he's
I'm not
involved?
committing the murder. I'm not committing the murder, right? I'm just giving you my land. Nobody will know. I mean, he
So
spent
you
over
think he's
$100
involved?
on fish that day. Why? Why was he cleaning up? And why is he spending over $100 on fish that same day?
So you think Ron Logan's involved?
I think that it's possible. I think that if evidence
You keep
presents
beating
itself,
around the bush.
I think that if evidence presents itself, we should be open to it.
Yeah. I don't. No way. He's gonna let that happen. Man, that dude lived there for like how many years?
I don't know nothing about Ron Logan. I'm not here to stand up for him. I'm not here to fucking act like he's a good man because I don't know anything about him. If evidence comes up that says that he might be involved, fuck him.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I don't agree with that.
Yeah. Well, right now there is no evidence, right? There's nothing solid
I
to
mean,
say
he
that.
could be. I'm just saying. I
Yeah,
don't.
that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, open your mind to it because you can't sit here and
Yeah.
say, "Oh, well, Ron
No.
Logan, poor old Ron Logan. Rest in peace,
No.
Ron Logan. You're a great man." I don't know shit about Ron Logan. I just know that
Nope.
there's no evidence to tie him to this. That's it. I don't see anything to tie him to it except some fucking shitty felon and other felons lying about it. but it does look. I mean, the timeline fits. The guy was cleaning up his property and done by 12, and out of there, creating his alibi at 2:09, just less than 4
And
minutes
J
before
and
the
J
kidnapping.
and JP said he was there around that time too. That's what's so weird.
And he was there the day before as well.
Yeah, like he was planning it out.
He was doing recon. He had his 360-degree camera out there.
Yeah, man.
And who the fuck was on
That's
the private drive at
crazy.
9 a.m.? And who the hell was on Keegan Klein's phone creating an alibi for him?
Yep.
Final words, and then we'll get out of here. Tell him, Anthony. Tell him what you think.
Man, I think Moore's involved. Not in the crime. Something lured him out there. I've said this over and over. I'm going to keep saying it. KK has somehow, some way involved. That's all I'm going to say, man.
I agree
I
with you.
can't get
I
away
agree
with
with you.
it.
I
I just
agree with
can't.
you. I agree with you, man. I can't get past it.
I appreciate you letting me come on, Candle, man.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. This is all my time, guys. Thank you for calling in. Let me go to a couple more comments before we get out of here. I think Wife Loveless is in here. Let's see. She says, not finding the evidence to connect TK and RA isn't the same as there's no evidence. And that's the point I've been trying to make. Just because we can't present the evidence doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That's like saying there's no murder weapon because it wasn't ever found. Exactly. Let's go to a couple more. I still question Richard Allen doing the unaliving. That was a sloppy job. If muddy and possibly bloody guy was Richard Allen walking back to his car. I'm just saying we can't ignore the fact that this Ricci Davis guy mentioned box cutter. You guys, that's information only the killer would know. Why does he know it? You know what I mean? You can't pick and choose, guys. We're not a defense attorney. Like, we can't pick and choose. We can't cherry pick what's valid and what's not. That is fucking valid. We have to figure out why that was said.
That box cutter thing. Definitely.
Yeah, that's crucial. Wife Lola says KK never said Jeep. He told me a car. All right. Wife Lola says, I don't believe Anthony anything Richie says. KK knows Richie well. Yeah, and this could all be a ploy. Like the whole Ron Logan stuff could be Keegan Klein just using us again and using this Richie guy. Exactly. I accept that too. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Thank you, Anthony, for calling in. Great conversation, man. Great convo.
Appreciate it.
All right. Happy Valentine's Day, man.
You too.
All right, guys, we're out of here. Take care. Peace.